Good morning, students. Today I am going to revise History Chapter 1, Geography Chapter 1 and Civics Chapter 1. First of all, I am going to revise very short answer type questions. Students, can you tell who was James Mill? Yes. James Mill was a Scotist, economist and political philosopher. Am I right? Yes. Students, a history of British India was written by James Mill. So, James Mill was a Scotist, economist and political philosopher. A history of British India was written by James Mill. Next, how did painting project Governor General? Yes, paintings projected Governor Generals as powerful figures. Paintings projected Governor Generals as powerful figures. Next, question number 3. Students, what is done under census? Yes, it records the number of people living all the provinces of India and gathers information on caste, religions and occupation. We know census operations were held every 10 years. These prepare detailed records of the number of people in all the provinces of India, noting information on caste, religions and occupation. Students, do you know how historians have divided Indian history? Yes, historians have divided Indian history into ancient, medieval and modern. See, history is about finding out how things were in the past and how things have changed. Historians have divided Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. But James Mill divided Indian history into three periods. They are Hindu, Muslim, and British. Can you tell who was the first Governor General of India? Yes, Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of India. See, in 1773, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India. Students, can you tell what is resource? Yes, any natural or human wealth that can be used for satisfying human needs is called a resource. Simply, we can say any substance having utility in any way is a resource. Mention the different types of resources. Yes, the different types of resources are natural resources, human made resources, and human resources. Students, resources are generally classified into three types. They are natural resources, human made resources, and human resources. Natural resources are those resources which are directly drawn from nature and used without modification. Simply, we can say natural resources are those that are taken from nature. See, human made resources means resources invented by human beings by using their intelligence are called human made resources. Human beings have used their intelligence to manufacture them for their own use. Students, human resources include people who serve us in any way. For example, a teacher, doctor, carpenter, etc. So, human resources means a human being who can contribute to his family, society, or economy is called a human resource. Can you tell what are natural resources? Yes, resources that are drawn directly from nature are called natural resources. Moving on to understand biotic and abiotic. Students, what do you mean by biotic and abiotic? Yes, biotic means living things. Abiotic means non-living elements. Students, a biotic resource is a living resource and abiotic resource is a non-living resource. This is the difference between biotic and abiotic. On the basis of origin, a resource can be biotic or abiotic. See, a biotic resource is one that has life. An abiotic resource is non-living. Friends, give two examples of abiotic resources. Yes, land and air. Friends, can you tell what do you mean by federalism? Yes, the term federalism refers to the existence of more than one level of government in the country. Students, we know our constitution has provided for a federal form of government. Students, we know we have three levels of government. They are central government, state government, and local self government. Our constitution has provided for a federal form of government. Federalism means yes. The term federalism refers to the existence of more than one level of government in the country. Students, can you tell what is right to equality? Yes. Right to equality means all persons are equal before the law. That means all persons shall be equally protected by the laws of the country. It also states that no person can be discriminated against on the basis of their religion, caste, etc. See, every person has access to all public places such as parks, restaurants, etc. So, right to equality means all persons are equal before the law. Students, can you tell? Name all the fundamental rights mentioned in the Indian Constitution. See, the Constitution of India guarantees certain basic rights to all its citizens. Am I right? Yes. See, these rights are called fundamental rights. There are altogether 6 fundamental rights. They are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. Students, do you know what is a constitution? Yes, a constitution is a written document. Students, we know the constitution plays an important role in a state. A constitution is a written document containing certain rules. See, it serves several purposes. Students, it determines the nature of a country's political system. It gives the guidelines that govern decision making in the country. So, a constitution is a written document containing certain rules. Students, can you tell who is known as the father of the Indian Constitution? Yes, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is known as the father of the Indian Constitution. Moving on to understand universal adult franchise. Students, what do you mean by universal adult franchise? Yes, universal adult franchise means right to vote. Students, the Constitution thus guarantees the rights of individuals against the state as well as against other individuals. So, universal adult franchise means right to vote. Students, can you tell what is right against exploitation? Yes. The Indian Constitution prohibits trafficking, child labor, and children working under 14 years of age. Students, can you tell what do you mean by a secular state? Yes. Students, we know a secular state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. See, it is an important feature of our constitution. A secular state is one in which the state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. Moving on to understand democracy. Students, what do you mean by democracy? Yes, a system of government in which people of the country choose their leaders to rule is called democracy. See, the elected government is answerable to its people for its decisions. So, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Students, can you tell who was the first Prime Minister of Free India? Yes, the first Prime Minister of Free India was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. The first Prime Minister of Free India was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Students, now I am going to revise fill in the blanks. At first, we have a history of British India was written by Dash. Yes, a history of British India was written by James Mill. A history of British India was written by, yes, James Mill. Students, who was James Mill? Yes, James Mill was a Scottish economist and political philosopher. So, a history of British India was written by James Mill. Next, question number 2. See, the National Archives of India came up in the dash. Yes, the National Archives of India came up in the 1920s. Next, census operations are held dash. Yes, census operations are held every 10 years. Students, do you know what is done under census? Yes, it records the number of people living on the provinces of India and gathers information on caste, religions, and occupation. So, census operations are held every 10 years. Now, question number 4. A substance becomes a resource if it has dash. See, you know, a substance becomes a resource if it has utility. Students, if a substance can be used in any way, it is said to have a utility. Students, coal and petroleum are example of dash resources. Yes, coal and petroleum are example of non-renewable resources. What do you mean by non-renewable resource? Yes, a non-renewable resource is one which is present in limited quantity. So, coal and petroleum are example of non-renewable resources. Students, what do you mean by value? Yes, value means worth. Worth of a substance assessed on the basis of utility. So, value means, yes, worth. Students, the father of Indian Constitution is dash. Yes, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is known as the father of the Indian Constitution. Next, question number 8. The President of the Constituent Assembly was dash. Yes, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the President of the Constituent Assembly. Next, question number 9. The three organs of the state are the dash, and the dash. Students, we know the three organs of the state are the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. See, there are three organs of the state: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Students, in order to prevent the misuse of power by any one branch of the state, the Constitution says that each of these organs should exercise different powers. See, in this way, each organ acts as a check on the other organs of the state, and this establishes a balance of power between the three. So, the three organs of the state are the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Students, can you tell the Indian state has a dash form of government? Yes, the Indian state has a democratic form of government. Students, what do you mean by democracy? Yes, Democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Next, question number 11. The Constitution of India guarantees dash for all citizens. Yes, the Constitution of India guarantees universal adult franchise for all citizens. Students, universal adult franchise means yes, right to vote. So, the Constitution of India guarantees universal adult franchise for all citizens. Students, do you know how did surveys become important under the colonial administration? See, the British gave much importance to the practice of surveying because they believed that a country had to be properly known before it could be effectively administered. Therefore, they carried out detailed surveys. See, they conducted revenue surveys in villages. They made efforts to know the topography, the soil quality, the flora, the fauna, the local histories, and the cropping pattern. Students, flora means yes, plants. Fauna means yes, animals. Students, they also introduced census operations held every 10 years from the end of the 19th century. They prepared detailed records of the number of people in all the provinces of India, noting information on caste, religions, and occupations. Apart from that, the British also carried on several other surveys such as botanical surveys, zoological surveys, archaeological surveys, forest surveys, etc. See, in this way, they gathered all the facts that were essential for administering a country. Friends, what do you mean by survey? Yes, a survey is a research method used for collecting data. Name the types of surveys. Yes, botanical surveys, zoological surveys, archaeological surveys, and forest surveys. Students, now I am going to revise important terms. At first, we have historians. What do you mean by historians? Yes, historians means an expert in history, a person who studies and writes about history. Yes, historians means a person who studies and writes about history. Simply, we can say an expert in history. Moving on to understand subjugation. Students, subjugation means to gain control over a country. So, subjugation means yes, gaining control over a country. Next, we are going to discuss about calligraphist. Students, what do you mean by calligraphist? Yes, a person who is specialized in the art of beautiful writing. Yes, one who is specialized in the art of beautiful writing. Next, we are going to discuss about colonization. Students, what do you mean by colonization? Yes, a process in which one country takes control of an area or a country that is not its own and sends people from its own country to live there. This brings political, economic, social, and cultural changes. So, colonization means yes, it is a process in which one country subjugates another and thus brings political, economic, social, and cultural changes. Moving on to understand surveys. Students, what do you mean by survey? Yes, a survey is a research method used for collecting data. Students, we know the British gave much importance to the practice of surveying. Moving on to understand a resource. Students, what do you mean by resource? Yes, any substance having utility in any way is a resource. Am I right? Yes. That means a substance needs to have some utility to be called a resource. Next, we have natural resources. Natural resources are those that are taken from nature. That means natural resources are those that are taken from nature. They are used without modifying them. For example, the air, the water, the soils, and the minerals are all natural resources. Natural resources become resources when people put them into use according to their skill and abilities. So, resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modification are called natural resources. Moving on to understand human resources. Students, a human being who can contribute to his family, society, or economy is called a human resource. So, human resources include people who serve us in any way. For example, a teacher, doctor, carpenter, cobbler, etc. are human resources. Next, we are going to discuss about constitution. Students, what do you mean by constitution? Yes, a constitution is a written document. A constitution is a written document containing certain rules. It serves several purposes. See, a society is bound to certain set of rules which makes it what it is and differentiate it from other kinds of society. See, these rules in large societies in which different communities of people live together are formulated through consensus. See, in modern countries, this consensus is usually available in written form. So, a written document in which we find such rules is known as a constitution. Students, what do you mean by consensus? Yes, consensus means a general agreement about something or an idea or opinion that is shared by all the people. So, a constitution is a written document containing certain rules. Moving on to understand equality. Students, what do you mean by equality? Yes, equality means all persons are equal before the law. That means all persons shall be equally protected by the laws of the country. Yes, it also states that no person can be discriminated against on the basis of their religion, caste, etc. Every person has access to all public places such as restaurants, parks, etc. So, right to equality means all persons are equal before the law. Next, we are going to discuss about majority and minority. Students, majority means maximum in number. Minority means yes, minimum in number. So, majority means maximum in number. Minority means minimum in number. Moving on to understand federalism. Students, what do you mean by federalism? Yes. The term federalism refers to the existence of more than one level of government in the country. Students, our constitution has provided for a federal form of government. This means that we have government at the central level, state level, and local level. So, federalism is the prime feature of our constitution, which refers to the existence of more than one level of government in the country. Moving on to understand secularism. Students, what do you mean by secularism? Yes. Secularism means a system under which a state does not officially promote any one religion as a state religion. That means a secular state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. See, the term secularism refers to the separation between the power of religion and the power of the state. See, this is important for a country to function democratically. Moving on to understand fundamental rights. Students, the Constitution of India guarantees certain basic rights to all its citizens. Yes, these rights are called fundamental rights. There are altogether 6 fundamental rights. Students, these rights protect against the absolute exercise of power by the state. See, the Constitution thus guarantees the rights of individuals against the state as well as against other individuals. Students, can you name all the fundamental rights mentioned in the Indian Constitution? Yes. Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. Right to equality means all persons are equal before the law. Right to freedom means everyone has the right to freedom of speech and expression, the right to move freely and reside in any part of the country, and the right to practice any profession, occupation, or business. Right to exploitation means the Indian Constitution prohibits trafficking, child labor, and children working under 14 years of age. Students, can you tell what do you mean by right to freedom of religion? Yes, a right to freedom of religion means everyone has the right to enjoy religious freedom. That means everyone has the right to practice, profess, and propagate the religion of their choice. Moving on to understand cultural and educational rights. See, our constitution states that all minorities religious can set up their own educational institutions in order to preserve and develop their own culture. Students, we know the constitution specifies the cultural and educational rights of the minorities. See, any sections of the citizen with a distinct culture have a right to conserve it. So, all minorities have the right to establish their own educational institutions in order to preserve and develop their own culture. Students, can you tell what do you mean by right to constitutional remedies? Yes, a right to constitutional remedies means a person has the right to go to the court for justice if he or she feels that his or her fundamental rights are being violated. Students, what do you mean by a secular state? Yes, a secular state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. Moving on to understand sustainable development. Students, we know using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. See, balancing the need to use resources and also conserve them for the future is called sustainable development. So, sustainable development means it is a concept of using resources in a balanced way so that our purpose is solved as well as they are also conserved for the future. That means we should use resources in such a balanced way that we satisfy our needs as well as conserve them for future. So this concept is called sustainable development. Can you tell what do you mean by resource conservation? Yes, resource conservation means it is the concept of using resources carefully so that they do not end up quickly. That means using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. Sustainable development means balancing the need to use resources and also conserve them for the future is called sustainable development. Moving on to understand types of resources. Students, resources are generally classified into 3 types. They are natural resources, human made resources, and human resources. Mention the different types of resources. Yes. The different types of resources are natural resources, human made resources, and human resources. Thank you.